Welcome to another episode of our Mental Health Moments. My name is Linda Golik. I'm the Health and Wellbeing Consultant at Bellin Health, and I am once again joined by behavioral health therapist Micaella VandenBoom. How you doing, Micaella?
I'm doing well. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Thanks for being here. So today, Micaella, I wanted to introduce our audience to maybe a new term. This was something that I recently learned a little bit more about, and I know that you know a lot about this, and I'm hoping to kind of educate our audience and talk about this a little bit. The term is behavioral resilience. Behavioral resilience. So the premise is this: so often in our lives, we are flexible and we pivot all the time, right? Somebody needs to pick up a child from school. I can't do it. We call somebody that can do it. I was going to work on this work project this afternoon. Something else more prominent came in front of me. I got to work on that instead. But when people are doing health and wellness behaviors and habits, when they're trying to set up an exercise routine, when they're trying to eat more healthily, they will tend to be not so behavioral resilient. They'll start the behavior, and the moment that they're not perfect, they just kind of throw it out the window. They start beating up on themselves. So instead of having that perfection type of attitude, we want to learn what is known as behavioral resilience, the ability to pivot and to do something different and to feel good about it. So that's kind of the premise of we're starting today. So Micaella, in your field, in the work that you do, what does behavioral resilience look like?
For us, it's being able to identify like those goals that we want or those hard to manage tasks and how do we get from point A to point B, right? Like when we start therapy, we sit down, we figure out what's going on, and then we create our treatment plan, we create our goals. And a lot of the times we're creating those goals that are going to get us to from point A to point B. And within that, we learn those resiliency skills, right? We have to be able to overcome those setbacks and identify those challenges and those negative thoughts and be able to push through them and change that perception so we can get from point A to point B. So, like at the end of our time together, we're able to review that treatment plan and say, hey, you know what? It wasn't easy, but I overcame this and I was able to accomplish these goals. Or maybe I'm struggling a little bit. What else can we do differently?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think we always have such an unrealistic expectation of ourselves to do these things so perfectly. And I have news for you all. None of us are perfect. None of us are perfect. So we can't possibly expect to do anything perfectly. So Micaella, like how do you help people like start to let that go? This idea of, but I said I was going to go and do this thing every day, 5 times a week, and I'm not doing it, and I feel like I'm this big failure. Like, how do you help people navigate that?
Well, part of it too is being flexible. Like you said, we're able to adapt to all the other changes, but why can't we when it comes to ourselves? Why do we have such high, hard expectations on ourselves? And we do live in a world where we have instant gratification. Everything is like
Mhm.
immediately coming to us. So if I can't do point A to point B or XYZ overnight, then why am I going to try?
Mhm.
That all
Mhm.
or nothing mentality.
Mhm. Does that come from something deeper within somebody when they are so driven to be so perfect and they're so like kind of off the rails when they're not perfect? Like where does that come from?
I mean, I think a lot of that can stem from, past behaviors, past things that have shaped us into that, things in our childhood that have framed us, different feedback we received from other people. Or if like other things come naturally and easy for us, then why
Mhm.
why can't this?
Mm,
If we're faced with a challenge, a lot of people give up with the challenge because they just want it to come easy. And I mean, newsflash,
yeah.
that's why we're probably in therapy in the first place. And that's probably why we need support
Right.
is because it's not coming easy to us, right?
Yeah. Well, I always think about like Oprah with her weight loss journey and just how successful she had been and every other, realm of her life and how she would just be so transparent of why can't I conquer this? Why can I do all these things, have an amazing talk show, build a TV network, but I can't conquer my weight?
We're not supposed to be perfect at everything that we try, right? Because what would the world look like if we could do everything we wanted to do? We wouldn't have people that have strengths in one area and weaknesses in another. So I think that's important to look at and to stop comparing ourselves to everybody.
Yeah.
Just because this is what the journey looks like to me doesn't mean it's going to look that way for everybody else. And I think
Mhm.
it's interesting that you bring up like different celebrities and like weight loss journeys, is there's not always like a cookie cutter mold that's going to work for everything out there for somebody. So if we don't fit into that and we don't see progress with that, that doesn't mean it's not going to work or we're not doing it properly. We just have to be able to understand like where we're at and set realistic goals with that.
Mhm. So when somebody is really starting to implement, a big lifestyle type change, right? So maybe it's an exercise routine, maybe it's different nutrition, maybe they want to drink more water, whatever. It's some kind of behavior that they're really, maybe they want to be less angry, maybe they want to be more grateful, whatever it happens to be. How can people treat that differently when something doesn't go perfectly? Like how can they assess that and not get so down on themselves when they don't have that perfect plan play out?
I think it's important to challenge those negative perceptions too and those negative thought processes. Like, if I am going to think this way about this, would I think that way about it is something else that happened to me, right? Like, if I'm trying to run a mile and I can't, would I get frustrated with myself if I couldn't cook this dinner that I wanted to cook? I mean, I know it's completely different, but
Mhm.
having those identified problems and those negative thoughts out there so you can challenge it, so you can restructure it, so you can set smart goals for it. So
Mhm.
it can be time sensitive, it can be realistic, it can be something that you know you'll be able to achieve and not giving up if it doesn't work. It doesn't have to be all or nothing,
Yeah.
that black and white thinking.
And for people to also, I think, be okay with starting small.
Mm-hmm.
If you're starting with you want to run a half a mile, you want to run a mile, like that's okay to start there. Like don't worry about the half marathon or something right at this moment. Like be realistic with those health goals.
Right.
I think the other thing that I had learned when I learned about behavioral resilience was this other phrase that they used was called the joy choice, and I love this idea. So the joy choice is the perfect imperfect choice that allows you to do something rather than nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So you were going to go to the gym 5:30 in the morning. Something came up, you had to take a kid into the doctor, whatever. Now you missed your workout. So the joy choice is like, well, what else can I do? Can I maybe take a walk after work?
Mm-hmm.
Can I lift some weights, after I cook dinner, whatever it happens to be, but you're still doing something that is good for you. It
Mm-hmm.
maybe it wasn't the exact thing you had planned, but again, that's the idea, is to be resilient and to just flex and do something else.
Mm-hmm. And another like way to look at things too, I often tell people you should be doing something for you because you want to, because you're proud of it. Like if it's exercise, I want you to take care of your body because you love it and you want it to work the way it
Mm,
should, not as a punishment, right? Like
mm,
if we have a vehicle, if we keep up on the vehicle maintenance and we take care of it, it's going to run longer versus if we have a vehicle and we beat it and we don't take care of it and we don't keep up on the maintenance, it's not going to. So we don't want to punish ourselves into doing something. We want to do it as a reward because we care and we want it to be better.
yeah. Yeah. Totally agree. Totally agree. It's a totally different mindset. Absolutely. Awesome. Any other thoughts or tips on behavioral resilience, Micaela? Anything else you wanted to add it today?
Just don't give up. It's not going to happen overnight. So it doesn't have to be a
Yeah.
thing. And a little bit goes a long way.
Mm-hmm. I used to tell people too when I did Weight Watcher leading years ago, like your choices can either move you closer or further away from your goal. It's going to be a lot of choices that it's
Mhm.
going to take. So don't discount those little things.
Mhm.
And you're right, it's going to take time, and that's okay. That's okay. Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Micaella, for being with us today and talking about this such an important topic, I think, for our audience to really think about. Yeah, give yourself some grace, everybody. You don't have to be perfect. We're
Trust the
giving you
process.
permission right now.
Yes.
It's not about that. So thanks for joining us today, Micaella. Thanks to our audience for listening. And have a great day, everyone. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you.